At this time, I kindly request all the candidates and members of the audience to take their seats as we prepare to begin the town hall session. Ladies and gentlemen, dear esteemed guests and fellow Sunway University students, another warm welcome to the Sunway University Student Council General Elections Town Hall 26-27. This is a valuable opportunity for us to witness the candidates' ideas and visions to our student community. My name is Ishanti Paramani, standing here as the MC for this exciting afternoon of healthy and productive engagement. To officially commence the event, I would like to invite the President of Sunway University Student Council, Lee Xiaoshen, to deliver the opening address.
Good afternoon, everyone. On behalf of the Sunway University Student Council, I would like to welcome all of you to the SUSC General Election Town Hall 2026-2027. The general election is more than just choosing our next student leader. It is an opportunity for every student to have a voice in shaping the future in our campus. The candidates standing before you today may represent you in the coming term. They will be responsible for leading initiative, voicing student concern, and making decisions that may impact our student community. The purpose of today's town hall is to provide every candidate with a platform for them to present their vision, share their ideas, and address your concern. At the same time, it allows all of you to better understand the candidates before making an informed decision during the balloting period. I hope that everyone will actively participate in this session and make the most of this opportunity. Leadership is not only about having good ideas, but also about listening, serving others, and acting with responsibility. Lastly, to all of our candidates, thank you for stepping forward to serve today, and it takes courage to put yourself forward. And regardless of the outcome, your willingness to contribute to the student community is truly appreciated. I wish every candidate the very best of luck, and I hope you enjoy a meaningful and engaging town hall today. Thank you.
Thank you, Shren, for your opening address and for outlining the purpose of today's town hall. Now, let's proceed to the introduction of our esteemed candidates. Each candidate and the official party will have 2 minutes to introduce themselves to the audience, sharing their motivations, aspirations, and experiences. Kindly be reminded that the bell will ring 30 seconds before the time is up. Candidates, please proceed to the rostrum nearer to your seat one by one. We will start with the executive committee candidates and will be followed by the directors candidates. Candidates, you may begin.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Tashwin. I'm honored to stand before you today as a candidate for the President of Sunway University Student Council. Over the past 2 years, serving as both executive during my first year and director in my second year within SUSC has been one of the most meaningful experiences of my university journey. It has given me the opportunity to work alongside students, club societies, university management, and fellow council members. Through these experiences, I have come to understand that leadership is not about holding a position, but rather serving and creating opportunities that positively impact the lives of others. Before joining Sunway University, I had the privilege of serving as the president of my student council and vice president of Pertina during my pre-university years. That experience has taught me the value of responsible leadership, while my journey at Sunway has shown me what it truly means to represent a diverse student community. Every day we learn alongside people from different cultures, backgrounds, and perspectives. I believe that diversity is one of our greatest strengths, and when we embrace it, we build a stronger and more united campus. If entrusted with the responsibility of serving as your president, my vision will center on 3 key commitments. First, unity through diversity. A campus where every student, regardless of their background, culture, or identity, feels represented, respected, and empowered. By embracing the diversity that defines us, we can build a more united student community. Second, campus culture and events, I believe university life extends far beyond the classroom, and I want to cultivate a vibrant campus experience through meaningful collaborations and student-led events that reflect the diverse interests and aspirations of our community. Finally, is transparent representation. That belief forms the foundation of my vision, unity through diversity. These are the principles that will guide my leadership: accountability in our responsibility, transparency, meaningful change in our actions. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Kajuni, and I'm running for the position of President. Over the past year, I've had the privilege of serving as a student relations executive, and throughout this journey, I've led initiatives such as Welfare Week, emceed for university events, collaborated with different departments, and engaged with different students from various faculties. Through these experiences, I realized that as our council continues to grow, we have an opportunity to strengthen not only what we achieve, but also to create a lasting impact. My vision is not only to simply organize more events, it is to build a council where students do not just give feedback, they see meaningful change happen, a council that preserves knowledge beyond one term, a council where departments collaborate effectively, and a council where every initiative has a purpose. My manifesto is built on 3 pillars. First, sustainability. I want to build a council that lasts by strengthening handovers, preserving knowledge, and ensuring future councils can continue building upon the work we achieved today. Second, transparency. Students deserve to know that their voices are heard and valued. Through greater transparency and follow-through, we can build trust and ensure every student understands the difference their voice makes. Finally, impactful student experience. Events should do more than fill calendars. They should help students connect, discover new interests, and foster a stronger sense of belonging. My idea, which is the Beyond Classroom series, will help students to have access to meaningful, free, and accessible activities. As your president, I want to build a more successful term. I want to build a council that leads behind trust, connection, and meaningful systems that future students can continue to benefit from. Because true leadership is not only about leading, but creating a better tomorrow. And that is all from me. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Members of the campus faculty, fellow candidates, and my fellow students. My name is Tan Suri, and I'm honored to stand here today as the Vice President of Seoul University Student Council for the 2026 and 2027 term. When people think about student council, they often think about the events we organize. While events bring us together, I believe the true purpose of student leadership is what happens beyond the stage and the celebration. It is about listening to students, responding to their concerns, and following through with meaningful action. That's why my manifesto is Beyond Events, Making Impact. My vision is to build a student council that is more connected, transparent, and approachable to students. I want SUSC to be in closer touch with the student community by providing regular council and university updates, creating accessible platforms for students to raise their concerns, and working with both the university and external parties to deliver initiatives that generally improve student life. I believe leadership is not about having all the answer. It's about being approachable, listening with sincerity, and turning your voice into meaningful action. If given the opportunity to serve as your vice president, I promise to be someone who doesn't just respond to students during elections or events, but throughout the entire year. Because together, we can go beyond events and create a lasting impact. Thank you, and I look forward to sharing more of my vision with all of you today. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Tan Sian, and I'm a year 2 semester 2 psychology student running for the position of General Secretary of the Seoul University Student Council. So over the past year, I've had the opportunity to serve as an executive member in extracurricular department while also contributing to the Sunfest Public Relations team. Through these experiences, I realized that behind every successful initiative while students often see the final outcome of an event, what truly keeps the council moving forward is the teamwork behind the scenes. This is what inspired me to run for General Secretary. My campaign is centered around a team where communication meets action. To me, communication is more than sharing information. It's about turning discussions into meaningful actions, ensuring responsibilities are followed through, and creating systems that help every department work together effectively. As General Secretary, I hope to strengthen communication within Council, improve the way knowledge and experiences are shared, and build a more organized and sustainable working environment so the Council can continue growing with the foundation that we built. I believe leadership is not about being the loudest voice in the room. It's about listening, collaborating, and creating an environment where every member is empowered to contribute their very best. If given the opportunity to serve, I will strive to lead with dedication, clarity, and accountability. Thank you, and I look forward to sharing more of my ideas with all of you today.
These are real experiences of great daily, and they affect how we learn, how we cope, and how we feel about our time here at Sunway University. And yet, many of us never raise them. We choose to ignore it because we don't know who to bring it up to, or we don't know if anyone will ever do anything about it. And that's the other one goes. My journey here started when I joined the Sunway College Student Council back in 2023 for 2 terms, and now I'm approaching the end of my second term here in Sunway University Student Council. As such, this marks my 3rd consecutive year in being involved in Sunway's student councils, making me ever more grateful to have been given the opportunity to experience and witness so many different outcomes, changes, improvements, and even struggles that councils have faced throughout these 3 years. Now, I need to remind all of you that I'm also a student at Sunway University, studying in the same campus as you, experiencing the same student life as you. So I think it's safe to say that all of us have probably experienced many problems in our academic life, but we have most of the time chosen to keep quiet about it. So as Director of Academic Affairs, I want to change that by making the academic support something students would reach out to get the support they need. This is a change I want to bring to the students of Sunway University, which is fair enough for students to feel comfortable and consider the diverse lifestyles of our student community. We trust, we act, and I'm ready to act on it. Thank you.
Eventually, I joined SUSC as an executive, which brings me here today with a vision and a mission to give back to the student body that has already given me so much. That journey, though far from linear, has shown me curricular life from nearly every angle, and through it all, I have come to understand how interconnected every school organization at Sunway truly is. That understanding is what brings me here today to help give back to the student body. If elected, my service as your extracurricular director will stand on 4 pillars. Firstly, diversity. I want every student to have a space to belong, one that reflects who they are and where they come from. A campus that functions as a genuine melting pot, not just in name, but in everyday experience of the students.
So whether it is streamlining how clubs run or making institutions stronger, not every change needs to be big, and small quiet shifts can create the biggest difference in student life. If given this opportunity, I promise to lead by listening first, deciding with others rather than for them, and keeping students at the center of every choice I make. Because we deserve to know what is happening in the most happening times. Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Interior Rosa, and I'm a second year Bachelor's of Marketing student. I'm happy to stand for you today as a candidate for the Center National Studies. When I first went to Sunday University, I wasn't expecting, I wasn't searching for different opportunities. I was searching for opportunities to grow. Along the way, I discovered something even more valuable, the opportunity to create those for others. Since then, I've dedicated myself to serving our community in different capacities. Firstly, I've had the honor of serving as president of the Sunday Marketing Society and an external relations executive for SUSC, as well as a representative for my program and for CIM. Besides that, I've served as executive on the CIM Council, as well as a volunteer for the NGO Inclusive Outdoor Classroom. Every role has taught me something different, but they've all reinforced one lesson. Leadership is about people. That's exactly why I'm running for the external relations director. To me, external relations isn't just about setting responsibilities and partnerships. It's about building bridges between students and industry, between ideas and opportunities, and between our university and the wider community. Every collaboration should create meaningful value and leave a lasting impact on student life. The way I lead is guided by three values: empowerment, because leadership should give students the confidence and support to step forward, speak up, and reach their potential. Access, because opportunities should not be limited to a few, but made available by every student who is willing to grow. And inclusion, because every student deserves to be seen, heard, and valued in every space they enter. And lastly, inclusion. If entrusted with this role, I won't simply represent students, I will advocate for them. And I will work to create meaningful partnerships, expand opportunities beyond the classroom, and ensure every collaboration serves a purpose for the community. Because at the end of the day, leadership isn't about holding positions. It's about creating opportunities that empower others. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Wanda. I'm honored to be standing before all of you today as a candidate for the position of Student Relations Director for the upcoming Sunday University Student Council General Election. Throughout my journey, I've actively contributed to the student community by leading and supporting various university initiatives, from volunteering during open day, helping students find the right path for them, to leading Welfare Week, one of the most impactful student council welfare initiatives. Each experience has strengthened my passion for serving students and understanding what truly matters to them. These experiences have taught me that student relation is more than just collecting feedback, but it's also about building trust, creating genuine connections, and ensuring every student feels heard, valued, and represented. That is why my manifesto is centered around these three key priorities: accessibility, transparency, and meaningful student engagement. I want to make it easier for every student to voice their concerns through more accessible feedback channels and stronger online engagement. More importantly, I want to ensure that feedback does not stop at being collected. It is being reviewed, communicated, and translated into meaningful action. I also believe the Student Council should never feel distant. It should be approachable, responsive, and actively engage with the students it represents. I may not have all the answers for all of you, but I will always take the time to listen, understand, and work together with students to find practical solutions. That is the kind of student relation director I aspire to be. If you believe in open communication, greater transparency, and a council that genuinely puts students first, I will be honored to earn your support. Together, let's change how we connect. Thank you.
Yes. Hello and a very good afternoon everyone. My name is Sharina Abdullah, a year 2 semester 3 student with Bachelor in Accounting and Finance, and I'm pleased to be here as one of the candidates running for the Student Relations Director position. I believe every student deserves to be heard, valued and represented. That is why I am committed to advocating for a campus environment where students' voices are not only listened to, but acted upon. My experience in extracurricular includes when I was the director of the health department under several student volunteers, where I developed strong leadership, communication, and engagement skills through managing volunteers and collaborating with event organizers. Additionally, my experience as an executive in the Student Relations Department has given me valuable insight in the department's responsibilities and the need of our student community. If elected, my leadership will be guided by 4 key pillars. First, diversity, in ensuring every student feels included and represented regardless of their background or faculty. Second, transparency, in fostering open communication so students remain informed and connected with the Council's initiative. Third, accountability, in taking responsibility for the promises we make and ensuring that students' concerns are raised through with meaningful action. And fourth, change, to continuously seek improvement that enhance student welfare and campus life. I aim to strengthen the way student concerns are collected and communicated to university management, ensuring that issues relating to facilities, welfare, and the overall student experience are consistently advocated for. These pillars will guide every decision I make as Student Relations Director and shape how I give back to the student community that has placed its trust in me. Thank you for your time and hope to see you on campus.
My name is Chanzichi, but everyone knows me by Ik. I'm currently a year 1 Sem 3 student in interior design. As a person majoring in arts, often in design, people mostly focus on the end product and usually overlook the process of creating and coming up with the idea itself. And that is what my whole campaign focuses on, which is bridging the gap with full transparency to the student body. Which brings me to my first pillar in my manifesto. Information transparency through visual design. This pillar mostly focuses on how the Student Council translates key information about our campus into visual design that students can easily understand. Because often students are too busy to read long-form updates about what's happening in our campus. So by doing this, we're able to grab students' attention in seconds and also allow them to understand what we are trying to convey in seconds. My next pillar would be the club and society spotlight. Throughout my whole campaigning week, I went around campus asking students what issues they faced in getting to be more involved around the campus. Most, if not all, said that often they find out about events that interest them on the day of the event itself or after it happens. And Sunway is home to a lot of club and societies. So imagine how many events get lost in the media just because students aren't aware of it. Lastly, my third pillar will be humanizing the council. And I'm not saying that the council is AI robots. I meant it as in making the council feel more friendly and approachable through their media page and letting students know that we are leaders who you can talk to whenever a problem around the campus arises. It's like telling the student body, voice your concern and we'll listen. So to add it on, my whole campaign focuses on transforming the Student Council's media page be more open about information and an accessible place for students to feel connected and informed. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Anish Sridharan, and I am truly grateful and thrilled to stand before you today as your candidate for Public Relations Director for 2026-2027. To me, public relations is much more than a communication channel. It is a heartfelt act of dedication to our community. My motivation to run stems from a genuine desire to uplift our campus experience, ensuring that SUSC serves as a transparent, accessible, and deeply supportive voice for every single student. I want to blend artistry with a meaningful purpose to celebrate your student life, creating a shared narrative that brings true pride and joy to every Sunwayan. I come to you having deeply immersed myself in our student community. From serving as an advertising and promotions member to social relations director in the Sunway College Student Council to working as the design and publicity director for Sunway Student Volunteers and the head of design for Shoebox Project 2025. Today, I continue to serve as a creative member of the Sunway Analytics Society and an external relations executive for SUSC. These experiences have allowed me to understand the heartbeat of our campus that I wish to continue to nurture and elevate. If you entrust me with this role, my promise to you is advocacy through empathy and storytelling. Sunway is a beautiful, vibrant melting pot of unique individuals. Every single one of you deserves to feel represented, appreciated, and heard. To make that a reality, I will ground my leadership in 3 personal pillars: diversity, inclusivity, and communication. By upholding these values, I aim to weave integrity, humility, and authentic care to everything we do, keeping Sunway the most vibrant, welcoming place it can be. For a leadership that truly listens, a creative vision that elevates, and a heart that belongs to this community, I humbly ask for your trust. Let's transcend the standard, see one another, and build meaningful connections together. Thank you so much.
Thank you, candidates, for providing insightful introduction to all of us. Now, I would like to invite the party representative to give their introduction.
Good afternoon, everyone. Today, we stand before you as forum. We chose this name because we believe the Student Council should exist for every student. Regardless of your faculty, culture, or background, every student deserves to feel represented and empowered to make the most out of the university experience. Our team came together because we share one common belief, which is that leadership is not about speaking for students, but rather about listening to them, working alongside them, and creating opportunities that benefit them. That belief is reflected in the values that guide us: accountability, transparency, change, and diversity. These are more than words to us, and these are the principles that shape how we lead, how we serve, and how we make decisions. Together, we envision a student council that celebrates our diversity, strengthens student engagement, and represents students with openness and integrity. Because we believe the best future for Sunway is one that we build together. For all, with all. Thank you.
Thank you once again. It's wonderful to witness such diverse talents and passion among our student community. Now, it's time to begin the main part of the event, which is the candidate debate, where the candidates will be challenged on their respective manifestos and ideas. This session will be divided into 2 parts, one for competing candidates and the other is for non-competing candidates. For competing candidates, this refers to 2 candidates who are running for the same position. The debate will be conducted in 2 rounds, with each round led by one of the candidates. Each round will last a total of 5 minutes, making it 10 minutes in total. During each round, the leading candidate will be given 2 minutes to pose questions. Then, the opposing candidate will have 3 minutes to respond. When the 5 minutes are up, a double bell will ring to indicate that it's time to swap roles. Additionally, a bell will ring 30 seconds before respective time is up to give the candidate a time reminder. We encourage the audience to listen closely as this is the moment where candidates can truly defend their vision and challenge their competitors' idea. Without further ado, let's welcome the first competing candidates for President position, Dashwin Kumar and Kashmir Punjaseelan.
What is the one thing that you would do differently from the current term and why?
Well, definitely the first thing that I would do is to ensure that we are able to preserve the knowledge from the previous term to the current term. So it's basically to ensure that we don't have to start from scratch all over again and we get to improve further from the current term.
Going from executive to president is a significant leap. As someone who has only experienced one layer of SUSC, How do you plan to lead directors and manage departments you've never worked in?
I believe that being a president, you don't have to have like 2 years of experience. And sure, maybe I wouldn't have as much experience as you, but I believe that I had enough, and I'm always able to learn from the previous term excos as well as the directors to improve further. And I believe that my vision and mission would really help the council in the future.
As an executive, you've worked within a structure that was built for you. As president, you have to build that structure for everyone. How do you plan to approach that?
With my experiences in my high school and also in foundation, I've also had the opportunity to lead. So I believe to approach this in the council, it is simply to be a leader that listens to the council and also is able to guide their members properly instead of just letting them be and doing their own work.
Thank you, that's all.
Okay, so firstly, you propose several initiatives to improve student life. So could you share one specific system or process you would introduce to ensure that these initiatives are genuinely shaped by student needs, feedback, rather than assumptions?
Okay, thank you for that question. So I believe that your question actually encompasses everything that our party stands for. First of all, transparency. Right, so we want to shape an initiative that is truly transparent in nature, transparent in terms that is truly what the students need. So I'll give you an example straight away. So throughout our entire campaigning period, one specific initiative or an idea that we've been shipping to everyone is how we're going to process feedback from further on. So if you look at something like Town Hall, where we have engaged with less than 100, 200 students in a specific one singular event, we can use something like social media to reach out to a bigger student body, so we're able to reach more students and spread the feedback and the movements and all the work we've been doing together with management as well.
Alright. Secondly, many councils have introduced various initiatives that unfortunately don't continue beyond one term. So what would be your measure, or what would you implement to ensure that the initiatives you introduce remain sustainable and continue benefiting students even after your presidency?
Question. I believe there is no one-size-fits-all initiative for every single student. As you know, we have 3 intakes per year, and every intake we have different students, different perspectives, different minds, different batches of ideas. So if an initiative does not sustain towards the next term, it does not mean that initiative is not meaningful. It rather means that we need to figure out what the scope is and how we can configure and integrate it to fit the current batch of students that we are serving for. Thank you.
Finally, if elected, how would you evaluate whether your manifesto has been successful by the end of your term? Beyond attendance numbers, and what outcomes or indicators would you look for to determine whether you have created meaningful impact for students?
Thank you for that question. So there are a lot of indications that we can use for, but most importantly, something to state over here is that over the course of the entire term, regardless of our manifestos, we still strive to work towards students' best interests. And for me and my team, instead of forcing our manifestos, as I've mentioned before, where we want to create initiatives that students truly need, that truly integrate into the current student system, that what students really want, we would try to measure our deliverables and indicativeness of whether or not our initiatives works, not just through numbers, but also through the feedback they're given at the end of our initiatives as well. Thank you.
Thank you, candidates, for the insightful discussion. Next, let's proceed with Student Relations candidate Lee Wonder and Sharina BP Abdullah.
Good afternoon.
I will be asking questions first.
Wanda will be asking questions first.
Apologies. Alright. So my first question would be, accountability is one of your manifesto pillars. If one of your key manifesto promises cannot be fulfilled, how would you remain accountable to the students?
Okay, thank you for the question. So since accountability is one of the main pillars that I'm running for as a candidate in the party, and one of the pillars that I hold myself when I'm running for this position, I think that by taking accountability means trying to achieve the other three remaining pillars as well, which are transparency, change, and also diversity. By that, I can truly achieve accountability because I'm keeping my promises to stick to the pillars, and it is something that we have to learn from experience. If I were to do mistakes and face the situation where I was unable to achieve one of the pillars that I have mentioned in the manifesto, and it will be a learning point that I will take a look upon back for my further learning. Thank you.
Alright, moving on. You also mentioned diversity. Diversity is a broad concept. How would you ensure all students from different faculties, backgrounds, and interests all feel equally represented, especially when their priorities may conflict?
Okay, so in terms of diversity, as far as I've been learning in Summer University and Surrey College, I've been here for 3 years and I've met all kind of students from different backgrounds. So it is such an experience to know what they have in mind and what they look for in our campus, and those learning will become my point in maybe coming up with events that will fulfill maybe not all of the priorities that they have in mind, because we do have limited resources as well, and I believe that we have other clubs and societies that could also address the interests that they have in mind. So this is something that I can work with the other departments such as the extracurricular or external relations department. Thank you.
Alright, last question. You also mentioned creating change. Looking at the current student council, what specific area do you believe requires the most improvement and why?
Okay, so by change, in my point of view, I think that SUSC is doing good as it is now, and there has been improvement that I've seen during my term. Like if we were to compare our progress from last year term to the current term, and of course I'm looking forward to improving SUSC as time goes forward. So the change that I would like to address is in making sure that students are more aware of the events that SUSC have planned, because these are all coming from the hard work from our committee, and we wouldn't want the resources to all go to waste, and for students who have best and full experience in our campus. So I will try to come up with maybe plannings and any brainstorming idea with the fellow committee to come up with a more lasting impact in a way that the events will be more recognizable by the students around campus. Thank you.
Thank you, Mina.
Okay, so now I'm going to ask my question. First one is, during your time as an executive in the Student Relations Department, when was the turning point that made you decide on to run for the election as the director for said department? And what are the follow-up actions you have taken to prepare yourself in becoming part of the leader in SUSC?
Right, so when did I start having thoughts of running the election was actually at the beginning of my time in SUSC. Looking at the things that we do and how SUSC is structured, I really enjoy doing it. So I wish to continue and run for election and further proceed from it executive to the student relation director position. And what have I done for this? Throughout my time as an executive, I realized a lot of problems that we can improve on, and throughout that I wrote them down and documents to list them down what kind of issues and area that we can improve on and follow up from there. Thank you.
Following up from your answer that you have listed the changes that you would like to make if you get the position of a director in Student Relations Department for our upcoming term, can you describe maybe a few of the changes that you have in your list? Thank you.
Right, so the first thing that I would like to change would definitely be the visibility and accessibility of the feedback form, because I feel like a lot of students are still unaware the existence of feedback form. So I plan to change that the first when I step up. And how am I going to change it? I will definitely utilize social media and make sure we actually wanted to use social media, but because the higher management said it was not organized, so I plan to use social media and make sure they're organized so that the higher management would accept them, and thus creating a more accessible and visible platform for students to voice their concern.
Okay, my one last question. Since you mentioned that you would like to come up with way that you could raise your concern on making sure that higher management will see our initiative in making sure feedback forms are posted in our social media, what do you think are some of the ways that you can come up with to persuade higher management to agree with your ideas?
So during my term as an executive, the higher management actually is alright with the social media idea. They're just not happy with how it is organized. Let's take a confession page as an example in social media, right? Most of the time they're in Google Form, but all they do is just you can upload your content. We do not know where is it from, we do not know the student ID, what faculty, and where exactly what this student is. It could also be tailored student uploading this kind of thing. That's why the higher management are not happy with how we did that. How a social media is utilized like that. So I plan to use the social media, but also fulfilling what they want, the organization, the student ID, faculty, and all. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you, that's all from me.
Thank you, Limanda and Sharina binti Abdullah. Now, let's welcome our public relations candidates Chan Zichi and Tanishri Dharan to the stage.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello, good afternoon. So may I start with the questions? Okay. So I know that your party runs on transparency, which is one of the pillars, which is also one of my pillars. And PR usually focuses more on social media. So I want to know what initiatives that you think can help the social media page grow.
Alright, thank you for your question. So when it comes to this, there are many specific instances in mind. However, generally, I would just like to encourage students to communicate with us for them to properly interpret what their feelings are. So if you were to ask for a specific example, I have thought about perhaps implementing Q&As on our Instagram so we can understand truly what it is that the students wish to communicate with us and how we exactly can help them in return.
Thank you. Another question which is following up to your answer is, sometimes students feel intimidated on doing Q&As and maybe even walking up to the student council members to give their opinion and stuff. What do you think can help the students to actually take initiative to give out their opinions?
I think just creating an inviting platform on our social media would be great. So perhaps creating more initiatives within the public relations department for them to get to know us better and for them to get to know that we too are students just like them and their voice is just as equally important as ours are.
As one of the student council members, what do you think is important and what do you think should remain in the public relations sector?
In the public relations sector, I think the formality that we practice is of utmost importance. Though we should implement vibrant and fun designs to captivate the students and make them feel welcome, we are at the end of the day a formal organization and we do need to maintain a level of formality in order for us to be perceived properly by Sunway and the public itself.
Okay, thank you for your
Alright, moving on to my question. Firstly, I truly appreciate your desire to bring a fun, more youthful vibe to the campus. However, the Student Council is ultimately the official bridge to the university management and represents Sunway's reputation. How do you plan to balance a somewhat informal and animated personal aesthetic with the formal high-stakes professionalism required when dealing with more serious matters of the university?
Of course, as you can know from my manifesto, I did mention about the campus patrons. And I think that is a good idea, but of course, in making this, we also have to communicate with all of the different sectors in Student Council. And before actually approving that design idea, it is important to also check with the Sunway University upper people. Yeah.
So just to clarify, would you say that you would initiate a formal aesthetic from the beginning, which is opposing your current more fun aesthetic? would you say that you would change the vibe into a more formal aesthetic from the get-go, or would you try out a more vibrant design or output and then see where it goes from there?
Of course, I will think the student body's opinion is the most important. So maybe you can do a trial run on how students think a newer, more fun and useful design would be like. So I think it definitely needs a lot of testing. And if students are actually happy with it, I think it's a good thing where we go forward with that initiative.
Alright, okay, to build up on this previous question, your creative talent and personal artwork are highly impressive. The role of PR director, however, is primarily strategic. It's about managing a massive team, overseeing multiple campaigns at once, and delegating tasks effectively, rather than doing the heavy lifting yourself. So how do you plan to transition from being an individual creator, an artist yourself, who draws much of your work, into a strategic leader who empowers the whole team for a unified vision?
Of course. So as a person who most of you don't know about, I actually do have experience in public relations. For example, right after my high school, I actually did do a student internship in DND Malaysia. So I was actually working with the government, the municipal government in Taipei. So I was actually tasked with doing a lot of the creative work and design, and also with other people, which is other student interns. And I was able to lead design, which is Sing in Taipei, and that is actually a competition the government itself organized. And I'm proud to say that the government was actually proud of my initiative. And also in my own diploma, I'm in interior design, and most of the projects I am the leaders in those projects. I will always draft out the steps for my group members on what I want to see and give them the deadline and give them a structured step-by-step plan for them to follow so they won't go off rail.
Thank you. My final question. Your manifesto emphasizes a lot of exciting and fresh concepts. Having served across multiple layers of student leadership bodies myself, I know that executing even a single campaign requires deep knowledge of council protocols, internal approvals, and interdepartmental workflows. As someone entering the council externally without that foundational internal experience, what concrete steps will you take to ensure that your ideas do not stall due to a lack of familiarity with SUSC's operational structure?
I'm a person who wishes to learn a lot. Even if I get into the director position, I would always refer to my seniors and ask them opinions, what should change and what should remain. So that is how I think the formality will remain. Basically asking a lot of questions and not being afraid to know that I'm not always right and there's always room for improvement.
Alright, thank you so much. That's all.
Thank you.
Will last a total of 5 minutes, where the current director will have 2 minutes to ask questions. The candidate will be then given 3 minutes to respond. Just like before, a bell will ring 30 seconds before the respective time ends to signal the wrap up. To begin the session, let us invite Tan Sumi, the candidate for the Vice President position, to the roster. I would also now like to invite our panelists, the Vice President Shireen from the current core team to lead the session.
I sure do.
Alright, for your first
your manifesto video, you mentioned that student voices should not only be collected, but also acted upon. Can you share a specific mechanism you would implement to ensure feedback leads to tangible outcomes?
Alright, so thank you for the question, Shirley. So for this, I would like to implement a student voice tool for students. So students can respond or tell us our concerns in lifetime. So the book will be like bi-weekly. So through that, we can actually have a report on whatever concerns the student have, and then we can reflect it back to the management. So and then after that, we can have our regular council updates also to tell the students whatever have been done instead of their voices just being very loud. Does that answer your question?
Yes, it is. Alright, for your second question. So as you know, earlier on you have experience as an executive secretary and has also given you a very strong exposure to the council's internal working. So what motivates you to pursue the role of vice president instead of general secretary, and what competencies have you developed that make you ready for the increased leadership responsibility as the vice president role?
Thank you, Shirley. So that was a question that people asked me throughout my campaign period also. So why I didn't compete for the general secretary, because during my time doing SUSC, I was the public relations vice director. So this role actually makes me give me an exposure towards how important communication is. So without said, general secretary is exco within SUSC, but what I believe is I can bring changes through communication. That's why my manifesto is beyond making impact. So what I want to try is we can make us more connected with the students through communication, not just through social media, but also physical booths like what I said just now. So that is why I would like to run for the vice president instead of general secretary. While general secretary coordinates the internal operations, me being a vice president can ensure our bigger direction, so we can bring another improvement to our council.
Alright, thank you, Sunny. That answered my first question. So my follow-up question is that upon you being the vice director for public relations for SUSC, so what competency have you gained from that experience that allows you to gain in a higher leadership role towards the vice president?
Alright, so actually this role gives me exposure on how leadership actually works. As executive or secretary, maybe we will just work as a member, but by joining the vice director, it actually lets me know how to lead a team. So throughout this period of time, I learned how leadership really is and how we actually build a structure instead of we follow whatever they learn. So that is why I think I'm competent of this role, and also despite this, I was also the director of secretarial for my foundation period. So I believe I have already gained enough leadership skills to lead the whole council.
Very good. For the third question, a vice president is not only there to support the president, but also to be trusted as a sounding board. So how would you approach a situation where you and the president may see things differently sometimes?
Alright, thank you, Shirley. So I believe that a strong leadership definitely will have different beliefs. In a team, we will never always have the same perspective for each other. So what I believe is if I work together with the president, I believe in open communication and trust within each other. So if we meet any issues or disagreements about any issues, I think we have to sit down and have an open communication and share our insights. And then we get to a common agreement on what we should do and what we can bring better to the council and also to the student community.
Alright, my last question. At the end of the term, when a student thinks back into a time as you as a VP, what are one changes or improvement you hope they'll remember the most?
Alright, after my vice president term, I hope the students can remember that what student council actually is. So throughout this campaign period, I know that a lot of students might ask what the student council do. So with the student voice booth and also
please finish your sentence.
So then the students can feel more comfortable with the student council. Thank you.
Alright, thank you so much.
Thank you, Dansini, for your responses, and thank you, Shireen, for leading the session. Moving on, we will now invite Tan Sinian, the General Secretary Position student candidate for the government. As the current General Secretary from the core team, I will be leading the session. Hi Keisha. Hi Sylvia. Okay. To begin, could you please briefly introduce yourself and explain what motivated you to contest for the position of secretary? What experiences do you think have prepared you for this particular role?
Thank you so much for the question. So I think that what really motivated me to become to elect as General Secretary was mainly an event that I was organizing committee in, which is Council Royale. I have worked very closely with very talented individuals from other different universities like Monash and Taylor's, and I've observed that their structure within council is somehow a bit different with ours, and I've seen that there is still a lot of room for improvement and growth, and so which motivated me to elect as General Secretary. And as for the qualities, I think I have gained quite a lot throughout my experience as a member in the extracurricular department and also a member in Samsas PR department. So both I think let me acquire some leadership skills where I think it will be useful in General Secretary position.
Alright, thank you for your answer. But based on your profile, I understand that you don't have any particular secretary background. Okay, so I just would like to know, could you explain your understanding of what secretary role in student council mean? And specifically, what do you believe are the core responsibility and expectation and even challenge that this position would have?
Thanks so much for that question, Kisha. So mainly I think that as a General Secretary, it's not only about recording your meeting minutes or making sure that all the documents are aligned. It's also about making sure that there is no miscommunication or there is a mutual understanding within the council itself, and not only to specific events, but as for council as a whole. So can you repeat your question just now?
Okay, my question was, what do you think is the core responsibility, expectation and challenges does this position hold?
Okay, so as for the expectations, I think that as General Secretary, mostly people would say that it's more of an internal grounded thing. But I would say that if the internal system doesn't really function well, it would also really affect how people view us from the external as well. So I think maybe as a General Secretary, I expect myself to maintain internal system to be well aligned and well communicated, so everyone has a mutual understanding in which what direction the council wants to go. And for the final challenges, I think mostly it would be about communication between department and communication externally as well, which is also aligned with my own manifesto, which I think my communication brings action means that I would hope that communication doesn't only happen within meetings, it's also brought out to the public, and it's also executed and actionable as well.
Okay, thank you for your answer. From your previous answer, you did mention that there's room for improvement in this particular role based on your experience with other councils. So, could you explain, even in your manifesto, you have mentioned that there's 3 key priorities, strengthening communication as one of it. So, could you please explain in concrete terms how you intend to execute these priorities as secretary, and how would you approach these changes differently from its existing term?
I think one of the biggest problem that I saw when I was carrying out my event was that you may finish yourself. Was that post reports are somehow not really studied the neutral truly before one event. So I think regarding to that, I suggest that we can have post-mortem presentations rather than just writing the reports within the organizing committee. So we can have presentation during the end to discuss about like what this event went wrong, and everyone can have their own say, their opinions on what went wrong during the event.
Alright, thank you, Sunyan. You have any question?
Alright, now let's welcome Chu Jiasun, the candidate for Academic Director position, alongside Penny Yen, the current Academic Affairs Director to the law school, to lead the session.
Hi. So my first question for you is, your manifesto highlights transparency, specifically in bringing transparency to processes that are practical. So can I assume this refers to attending feedback action?
Okay, so in a nice economy, transparency, but for this, I mean in terms of how we do things, what we can do, and what we cannot do. So I understand the student council, we are still under management. There are certain things that we can do and certain things that we cannot do, but some students, they do not have that thought. So it is our responsibility to communicate them and be transparent with them well. We have to tell them some things, if we cannot achieve, they must know. And for certain things that cannot be achieved, there are certain alternatives that can be recommended as well.
Do you mind explaining a little bit more about how you plan to do that in tangible, concrete steps? How do you want to inform them on what it is that you can do and cannot do?
Well, there's a lot of ways, and of course, as AA currently, we are also already implementing a lot of these. So, for example, we can speak about the town hall, or the feedback forms, or also the STR, SPR initiatives. So a lot of these initiatives, they are actually already being a platform for students to communicate with the student council. But the current issue right now is that a lot of them are not involving themselves in these initiatives. So the current issue is actually not what I feel the initiatives that the student council are carrying out, but how we reach the students as a student council. Because this is also part of our visibility and our purpose. Most of the students here, they feel like if they don't see a purpose, they will not join certain events. So in this case, we have to find a way to be able to reach out to these people and really show them what we are going to do and how we will take this and carry out these actions.
Okay, thank you for the answer. Second question. You mentioned wanting to advocate for students in spaces that they currently don't have access to. So this is a two-part question. Firstly, do you mind elaborating more on this observation? Secondly, what concrete steps do you have in mind to overcome this issue? And thirdly, what challenges do you anticipate to face?
Alright, so for this, I feel that when I was talking about certain things that students may not get access to, so this is not in terms of physical venues or anything. It could be accessibility issues or like any academic resources, issues like that. Lectures, because we understand there are many public holidays that happen, and oftentimes there will be replacement class that will be scheduled, and most of the students will struggle with going to those replacement classes. So those are what I feel that are the main issues that students face at this time. The challenge that I expect to face is because the Sunway have a lot of students, and at the same time venue is also a limited space. So this is really something that has to be discussed with the management to come to a consensus on
whether we can find a suitable timing, and especially for this replacement class issue, where students can actually have an option to perhaps do a hybrid class where they can learn physically and online as well.
Okay, last question. You noted that students needing the most support are often less likely to reach out. So what specific outreach methods would you like to use to close that gap?
Right, so for this, I would like to build on the SDR and SPR system that we currently have. And I feel this system is actually really good and it can be further improved and to make students feel more comfortable in voicing out. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jason, for your response, and thank you, Kellyanne, for leading the session. Moving on, we will now invite Caitlin Koyanzi, the extracurricular position candidate, to the rostrum. I would also now like to invite our panelists, the extracurricular department advisor, Sasmita Nagulan, for the current core team to lead the session.
Hello, Caitlin. So I'll start with my first question. One of your manifesto is accessibility, and you promise to uphold transparency by being open in both progress and setbacks. But on ground, reality is tough. When budget falls short or when club feel neglected, things get tense a lot. Could you share a major setback you personally faced in your previous experience, and how would you take accountability for it? Moving forward, how will you turn this promise of transparency into a concrete or measurable policies for struggling clubs rather than just a buzzword?
So to clarify, you also want to know a major setback that happened in the past. Okay, so a major setback would be communication, because for communication it will be whether certain venues are available or whether something is able to be used or not, or even for booking, like who people can book through. So those are the major setbacks that I've seen throughout the past. So I would like to help foster transparency by utilizing our communication channels, because right now I feel like we're using our communication channels to blast out announcements to get people to participate. However, I feel like we can also use it as a way to garner feedback. So this isn't just a one-time thing, like I send this message and everyone replies or anything like that, but I think it's actually fostering a long-term relationship with these clubs and societies. So it won't be through just a simple message or a simple post, but it will have to be consistent effort by showing up for these clubs. I hope that answers your question.
Alright, thank you. My next question is, your manifesto also emphasizes on collaboration and turning feedback into action. But right now, many clubs are actually facing low engagement due to the high population of clubs we have. So they don't really need counsel to listen, but they just need direct intervention. So what is your specific, tangible plan to revive these struggling clubs?
So for these struggling clubs, I think it would have to be a more personal approach, because different clubs are trying to target different demographics. So if I take, let's say, a sports club and then I blast it in a place for, let's say, a cultural club, it's not going to be that effective. So my first approach would be, of course, talk to clubs, see what they would want and how I can help with them. Because for me, what I hope to do as extracurricular director is not to enforce my own ideals, but to help support what everyone else wants.
Thank you. My next question is, as we know, every club has its own advisor from the lecturer side, and plus they have their own leaders who can straight up go to student lives and solve their issues. So what is the actual purpose of your role as a music director? Beyond just being an extra layer of middle management, how does your position as extra director actually add values to the club?
So lecturers, they have their own responsibilities as well. So sometimes it is difficult for clubs to reach out to their student lecturers or anything like that. And I also believe that the student council serves as a more approachable venue of communication for these clubs. So let's say I'm a new director in a new club. I might be a bit scared to reach out to my advisor because they are a staff. At least if I reach out to a student, then it would sort of bring that barrier down and help create that first step. Then from me, I can be like, oh, by the way, you have an advisor, and hopefully bridge everyone together.
Thank you. We have over 100 highly active clubs on campus. how would you make sure that every single clubs they actually follow campus policy, such as no single-use policy rules, instead of just these rules are being overlooked, especially during the event type business?
I think that we would have to be more involved in other clubs events as well as student council for our representatives to go and see if everything's alright. Another thing is to basically amplify our rules and regulations more, because while we do have the workshops and everything, not everyone can always attend. So we need to create more accessible venues for people to see all of those rules and regulations and have to be reminded as well.
In your portfolio, you did mention that you have a lot of past experience. Can you let us know what's your biggest takeaway that you have learned this year that will shape you how you approach the next term?
For this year, especially through being director for event management at Sunfest, I realized how each management isn't just one big thing, but under management there's different groups with different roles. So that's the biggest thing I've learned and how to approach that. Thank you.
Having more than 100 clubs, what do you think are the clubs still missing in Sunway College and in Sunway Uni?
Sorry?
Having more than 100 clubs, what are the clubs are still missing in Sunway College or Sunway Uni?
That I don't think it's for me to say, it's for the students to decide what they feel they want. For me, what I've seen a lot of students want is an art club, just a drawing club. So that's just one thing.
Hope I have time for my last question. A lot of clubs want to collaborate on drawing events, but finding the right partner club and align budgets is key for them. How would you plan to make cross-collaboration clubs, actually making it practical and easy, rather than just telling the clubs they should do this, do that, organize an annual event, etc.?
I think perhaps we could find more ways to help CNF leaders engage with each other. I know we already have CNF bonding, but maybe through communication with them, we can see what works best for them, for them to have a way to reach out to each other. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Caitlin Koyenzi, for your responses, and thank you, Sasmita, for leading the session. Lastly, let's welcome Yudhira Dorasamy, the External Relations Director candidate, alongside Dev Ganesh Harikrishnan, the current External Relations Director, to the roster of the session.
Hello, Yudhira. Okay. So for my first question, as you may know, the external relations role acts as the bridge between the corporate world and our student body. So how will you navigate the balance between supporting and managing external stakeholders as well as the internal student collaborations? And additionally, what specific soft and hard skills are critical for leading this department, and how do you personally demonstrate these qualities?
Okay, so to answer your first question, I would firstly take students as the first priority. Students will always come first. And to me, if the sponsor is wanting to do excessive promotion or something related to our event, I will first make sure that they align with students' needs. And if not, I will renegotiate or even decline. But I will make sure that it all benefits students in some way, whether it be through our event alone, whether it be through further growth, career-wise, or so on. And then to answer your second question about hard and soft skills, so firstly, as being an external relations executive, I think that being open to conversation and knowing how to adapt to people when speaking to our sponsors is very important. As the first one, as you need to know professionally represent yourself and to the council. And moving on, I think also, for example, when we're presenting our initiative to sponsors, it's very important that we create sponsorship decks that sort of shows them what we are capable of doing and how they will benefit from us.
Thank you. For my second question, in your manifesto, you have mentioned providing industry exposure to empower students as one of your key pillars. What is one new concrete initiative that you would launch to connect everyday students with corporate leaders?
Okay, so I actually have an initiative that I would like to do. It is connecting them with an industry, with the corporate industry such as high-tech, as they have as they're now available for internships across various partnerships and sectors. So I would love to collaborate with them and get students to be able to work with them, and as it's a very international organization. And so I think that would help the students grow beyond our campus.
Okay. For my third question, as director, you will be acting as the crucial bridge between external corporate partners and internal Sunway campus management, such as student life or the branding department. So trusting relationships with both of these vital stakeholders are very important. So how would you ensure that the sponsor expectations and the university guidelines are met simultaneously?
So once we have met with our sponsors, I will make sure that whatever their needs are communicated to our management, such as personnel. And if SO has any feedback, I'll make sure to go between both my team and as well as the sponsorship as well, and try to find a middle ground between both, so that both parties can be satisfied with the results.
For my next question, the External Relations Department relies heavily on who you know and how you maintain connections. So how do you plan to leverage the corporate contacts, industry professionals, or organizational relationships you've already built in your previous backgrounds to bring continuous value into the council?
Thank you for your question. So in order to elevate my connections I've made already, I need to be able to keep in contact with them and definitely communicate what initiatives the SUSC has ongoing, and to involve them in any way that I can, as well as represent myself as a student relations director outside of Sunway, so that I'm able to bring these partnerships in.
For my next question, so when discussing the success of external relations, it is easy to default to the total monetary value of sponsorship secured. However, true impact often lies in the sustainable value and long-term relationships left behind for both the council and for the student body. So how do you plan to ensure that corporate initiatives you introduce will create a lasting, positive impact rather than just serving a short-term financial fix for our events?
So honestly, it's not just measured by our financial growth, but by the opportunities that it creates for our students. So whether it be industry opportunities or discounts or even being able to talk to industry professionals, I think that if our sponsor comes back to us and says that our students have come to them, maybe certain other students have come to them and said they're interested in what they're doing, and to further evaluate how they would like to work with them, I think that creates a lot of value for students.
That's all my questions I have prepared. Thank you.
Thank you, Yudhira. Thank you, Dave. We hope that the main session has provided a valuable opportunity for the candidate to present their ideas and justify why they are the right person for the respective role. We shall now move on to the second segment of today's town hall, the party discourse. In this segment, the party must appoint representatives to represent on behalf of the whole party to do party pitching in about a maximum time limit of 5 minutes. The bell will ring 30 seconds before the time is up as a reminder. Following the pitch, there will be a 10-minute Q&A session where the individual candidates will have the opportunity to ask questions to any member of the party. During this Q&A session, each question posed by opposing candidates or parties must not exceed 1 minute. After each question, there will be a 1-minute discussion time for the party to deliberate. For questioning and discussing, the bell will ring 10 seconds before the time is up as a reminder. Then, the party will be given 2 minutes to respond to each question. A bell will ring 30 seconds before the 2-minute time is up. This segment encourages healthy discourse between parties and gives the audience deeper insight into what each party stands for, beyond individual manifestos. Let's welcome Dashwin Kumar as the representative of party.
Good afternoon, everyone. Every one of us behind here joined the Student Council for different reasons. As we work together, we realize that we share more than just responsibilities, that we share a common vision. And that common vision is what brought us together to form For All. The name reflects the kind of Student Council that we aspire to build, one that serves all students, regardless of faculty, nationality, or background. Our campaign is guided by 4 values: accountability, by following through on our commitments and taking responsibility for our actions; transparency, by building trust through open communication and ensuring students know how their feedback shapes decisions; change, by continuously improving the student experience through practical and meaningful initiatives; and diversity, by embracing the unique perspectives that make Sunway University so vibrant. We are not running because we believe we have every answer, but we are running because we believe the best ideas come from listening and collaborating alongside the students we represent. For All is more than our campaign name. It is a commitment to lead the students and not above them. Thank you.
Thank you, Dashwin. Now, continuing with the Q&A session from candidates, I invite candidates with questions to step forward.
So actually I have this question, is for Dashwin. So as the president, then what is the one thing that you would like to work with your partner, like the vice president or the excos and the core team, throughout your term? What would be the first thing?
Hi, Sunny. Thank you for that question. Not just for Vice President, but for Vice President, Treasurer, Secretary, and the rest of the directors alongside, the number one vision that I have for all of us is to unite on a singular goal. Is that when we go into a term, we want to unite on a singular vision that we want to spread and teach our all executives. So that is, if you ask for one thing, that is the main important thing that is, I think that we should unite on together, because what are executives but not examples of ourselves and how we lead in the student council. Thank you.
Thank you, Dashwin.
Right, this question is open for anyone from the party. So, since one of your pillars was inclusivity and diversity, so many students only engage with student council during major events. So what would you do to encourage meaningful student engagement throughout the academic year?
Sorry, can I clarify what you mean by engage students throughout the... I couldn't hear you.
Okay, so basically, you know how like most of the time, only when we have major events, there'll be students who start engaging with the council. And despite events, we have so many other things that we do, like feedback form. So how would you make sure that the students are actually engaging with the council throughout their time here in campus?
I think for them to engage with us consistently, we have to engage with them consistently. Because for right now, the way we construct our events, a lot of times our events clashes to each other. So there's a moment where SUSC is sort of quiet, and then you have a moment of SUSC where like everything is happening. So then that's when students usually find out. But I think to sort of solve this issue would be to have smaller things that are easy to be consistent throughout the term that students are able to see. So at least they don't forget that we exist. So it's not they suddenly see a banner and go, oh, SUSC exists, like that. So that's the main thing. Does that answer your question? Alright, thank you.
Right, this question is for Ina. So, do you want to come to the stand first? Sorry. Right, so my question would be, what thing would you do differently compared to your previous director? Thank you.
Blessing, hello Jen. Okay, so there goes my previous director. Thank you for your question. So, I think the things that I do differently from the previous director for student relations department, maybe would be in the terms that making sure that we are like, it's not in the term that how he does his words, because like as far as I know, I think he does this like according to the book, which is a very good way to do things. Not really my style, but I learned from what he shows us, like the way he does his things. And so what I think he could improve is more on the like keeping the department executives like close together, in the terms that on the earlier meetings, maybe we could have, I'm not sure, having him like be the one that like becomes the point between us executive, because we were quite awkward at first, and he should be the one that macam take the initiative to make sure that we feel as comfortable with the other executives. That's all from me.
Thank you, Nina.
Okay, so this is to whoever wants to answer in the party. So, what practical implications that you have for me that is that aligns with your manifesto for all? What practical implications that you currently have that aligns with your manifesto for all? Like what practical?
For our pillars, one of our pillars is actually being diverse and being inclusive. So for that, you can see we include a lot of different kinds of students in our party right now. So it's hard to say what we implement as well, because again, we aren't even in the positions. So there's not so much to be held accountable for, because we haven't been able to create any change. So we haven't been able to do any change, so we haven't been able to be transparent about anything. I think for transparency, we can say that from the start the moment we decided that we were going to be a party, we were open that we were a party. Whenever we were asked, are you joining a party, before it was even announced, we were always transparent that we were going to be a party. So I think even before the party itself was announced, we've been upholding our pillars, because our pillars aren't some buzzwords that we decided to choose for the sake of it, but they're actually things that we want to see come into fruition. Does that answer your question? Okay, thank you.
Hi, so this question is targeted towards anyone who wants to answer this. So during my physical campaigning week, I went around asking students on what they think about the SUSC as a whole for the campaigning, the town hall. Most of them weren't even aware that we were having a town hall, or weren't even aware that it was physical campaigning week. They don't even know what balloting week is. How do you think we can actually solve this issue, since SUSC has been a thing for a very long time, but students are still unaware of this happening?
Sunway has a population of over 10,000 students, and it would be quite impossible for every student to be aware of what we do. However, our party as a whole really do want to create change, in the sense that we wish to project our cause and the things that we do through various methods. You know, this is still up for discussion, but we have looked into methods such as SCTV, or even during other initiatives where we promote future initiatives. So truly it will be subject to how we procure it once we are elected in the following term.
Can you give me more concrete explanation as that, because I'm still a bit confused on what you mean?
As I previously mentioned, specific examples such as SCTV and promotional booths that we have done are about the extent that we can go. We obviously utilize our social media as our primary platform, but we do have to create steps in growing this platform and in trying to find new ways that will attract students in the future. Students come and go constantly, right? So we have to constantly keep up with how we can attract a new batch of students every time.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
Yes. Okay, this is for anyone from the party as well. So, what if someone from... Okay, let me rephrase. So, what if one of the individual candidates get elected and not all of you from your party is elected for the positions? What would you do to approach to make sure that everyone has the same vision and the mission to ensure that there's a smooth operation in the council?
Thank you for that question. It gives me a great chance to explain and clarify how SUSC truly works, right? So this is not an uncommon situation in SUSC. So anyone can run for any position, and in our case, the candidates that are running for expos, you guys are people that I know personally and I've worked with over the past term. Okay, so that familiarity, it matters. I'm not walking into a room full of strangers, and even if I was, it would not falter anything because I know their work, I know their values, and I'm confident that we can build a productive working relationships. Because if we are standing here behind the stage and facing this great audience over here, it means we are here to serve the students and we have their best interests in mind. So at the end of the day, SUSC functions as a council and not just as a party. So whoever gets elected, we are all here for the same students, and we are all here to serve the very same students who work for us as well. Thank you.
So this one will be to everyone in the party. So as many of students are concerned that whatever council is doing, they are not really sure whatever is happening in council or what have council done for them. So what is, I believe this will be one of your things that you would like to improve in your manifesto. So do you have any like practical initiative that you will make people, not just the students, but the whole Summit community know that what we counsel are and what have we done for them?
Hi Sunny, thank you for that question. So I think your question can directly lead into the visibility of the student council among the student body as well, which I believe year by year is increasing with every batch of students, because every term we try new things, we know what works out, what doesn't work out. So as I've mentioned before this on my campaign, in my speeches, there's truly no one-size-fits-all approach. So there's always trial and error. So what may work this term may not always work next term, which is why it's very important for the entire core team to come together, give their ideas, and unite on a singular vision that we will use to give the students what they want. Thank you.
Thank you, Dashra.
Alright, thank you candidates for the fruitful discourse. We will now open the floor for a live Q&A session, the most innovative session from audience. If you have a question, please raise your hand and our team will hand over the microphone to you. Before asking the question, kindly state your name and indicate which candidate your question is directed to. Each audience may ask one question with one follow-up question allowed. Kindly keep your question clear and concise. A quick reminder to all candidates, you will be given 1 minute to respond to each question. A bell will ring 10 seconds before your time concludes.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Brian. I'm Vice President of the Summit Music Society. I'd like to forward this question to Caitlin. Caitlin, before I begin my question, so sorry to say, but it's going to be a bit of a hard one, but I know you're pretty capable, so I trust your capabilities. My personal question when it comes to running clubs is more about the incident that happened a few years ago a few committee members, well not committee members, but a few members of my music society were in another club. And what happened in that club was that their committee basically had a mutiny. Their president was fired, their vice president fired, half of the committee was fired. And when we heard about the news, we heard it from a friend of ours who was in their committee. So I guess my only question is, when it comes to such a severe case like this, which I hope will never happen again, but when it comes to something so drastic that student life manages to get involved in, what is the student council's role in mitigating the relations between the clubs, how they're running it in their committee, and how these reports are brought to student life?
So for major cases like this, yes, it will largely be under student life's jurisdiction because they are major cases, so we don't have much of a say. However, the student council will still be there to support. So even through personal connections and everything. And also, I believe that at least with the student council, hopefully clubs feel like they have an area that is a safe space as well for them. Because they might not feel comfortable with student life or anything like that because of our whole situation, but at least they know that there is still someone that they can approach to if they do have issues. So hopefully our job wouldn't be to be the judge or anything, but at least we would be able to help mediate if it need be.
Okay, good answer. Thank you so much, Caitlin.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Hello. Hi, my name is Jared. This question is directed to both of the student relations candidates. I've noticed that both of you have the same primary experience that prepares you for the upcoming role. That is that you were both executives in the current student relations department. And both of you have also talked rather extensively about what you hope to achieve in the department should you be selected in the coming term. Unfortunately, these statements by themselves do not hold much weight for us in evaluating your worth in getting the position in the first place. So my question is, what specific experience, skill set, or asset do you possess uniquely to yourself that differentiates you from the opposing party and makes you more worthy of our vote? Thank you.
Can we have you model this?
Right, so from the experience that I have that I mentioned just now, me being in SR, I've recognized all the issues that we are facing right now. So, sorry, may I actually repeat your question again? I'm so sorry.
What experience, skill set, or asset do you have that differentiates you uniquely from your competitor, Sharif?
What differs me would be, right, so I mentioned in my manifesto, I volunteer a lot during open day, talking to a lot of the parents, the students, and all the other committee members from different SLB and clubs. So through talking to them, I realized they all share a very common issue that they see in our campus. So I would use that as my answer to your question. Listening to all these people telling me the same thing over and over again would be what differs me from Ina, since Ina said she has all the experiences from SSB, the clubs and SLB that she was in. So, yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Changzhen, for your question. Okay, so I think one of the unique soft skills that I possesses that would make your vote value up when you vote for me instead of Lim Wonder, my dear friend. So basically, I think what's important is for me to have passion. This is because for me having to wake up early in the morning, so maybe attend meetings or meeting with facilities, health and management, safety issues and all that, I will have to have the passion to actually get out of the bed and get ready to come to uni. So if I were not able to keep this up, especially for a long term throughout maybe the year 2026 or 2027, I don't think I could show a good image towards my executive, especially because then looking at the upcoming future, they would like maybe see me as a role model, and there will be like their starting point where they will decide if they want to roll for the next term as well. So I think being passionate is something that is contagious as well. If I were to be as passionate as maybe 10 times more passionate than Chuang Zhi, so maybe it will contaminate with my executive as well, so that we can work together as the best department lah. Thank you.
Any other questions from the floor?
Okay, hi, my name is James. Okay, I want to ask, this is the question to presidents and also vice presidents. If you all have reviewed council for the past years, transparency has been advocated for every year. But they also mentioned the same thing, to close the loop, to close the loop, to close the loop. So what are we actually looking at when we are mentioning transparency? Because I'm hearing the same thing, closing the loop. But every year people say the loop is not closed. So how is it different from what you are looking at? How will you define transparency? So this is, and I think any president or vice president can answer.
Hi James, thank you for your question. So, very good question actually, because over my past 2 terms, it's been the same thing that's been advocated over and over again. But I think what's different is that this time around, my party and I were not comfortable with the channels that are already in place. See, if we were already comfortable and we thought the current feedback channels are already sufficient, we would not be here running, right? So we already have feedback channels in place. The honest truth is that most students are not seeking them out. So instead of waiting for students to come to us, this time we decided we want to reach out to the students by going to them. This means not just using social medias for event promotions, but also for real updates. For example, the SUSC meeting, the meeting with management, is held twice a year. So in that twice a year, a lot of updates we are given, a lot of fixes are being pushed. And in between that, we have the food and beverage meeting or the health and safety meeting, with a lot of other meetings with different aspects of management that also is being pushed out. But where do we actually push and tell the students, oh, this is what's being fixed during the town hall? And in the town hall, we see, out of the hundreds and thousands of students, not hundreds and thousands, but thousands of students that we have, not even 200 people show up to the town hall, which means our feedback channels are not open. So by using social media as an aspect to push and show real feedback and the changes that we've made together with the management is how we plan to move forward with this new era of transparency. Thank you.
Hi James, thank you for your question. So I believe that transparency, when we talk about transparency, it's not that we're trying to close the loop, but it's more of trying to make the loop smaller. So each term it gets better, and all we want to do is make it even better each term. So instead of saying that, like what Dashra mentioned, maybe our channels are not as effective. So we have like different ideas from the current term, like starting a easier to fill student feedback form. And I believe these are some of the measures that when students are aware that it's a lot easier to give their feedback, it will be more motivating for them to voice out their concern. And it's also important that the council becomes more approachable so that students feel more comfortable approaching us and conveying what their problems are. Thank you.
So, James, thank you for your question. So, I understand why you feel like that. So, maybe throughout so many terms, as you said, everyone has been promising about transparency, and then maybe you feel like it wasn't granted as what they promised. So, what differs between this term is what I planned was we accept just provide regular council updates on social media. What I'll do is like what I said just now in my debate, we will do a student voice booth. So that booth is
not just we are waiting for them to come to us, we can also show up as we want to listen to you. So instead of them telling us feedback, us in that booth itself can also let the students keep track on what have been done. With also the regular updates on our council IG, so it will be a two-way coverage. One is through social media and one is through physical. So yeah, I hope that will close back the loop on how maybe people told us their concern and then maybe there were no actions going on. So if there's a check and balance between the students and they have a channel to ask us, not just through feedback form but also meet us physically in the student voice booth, then I believe that will close back the gap for the transparency. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. I do have a follow-up question. This would be related to how the visions of all the presidents will be operated when you all say that you all will disseminate whatever council updates you all have from the management and all those things by using social media or whatever channels that you have. It will mean that you are publicizing the problems in the institution. So with the power of social media, this will be the question directed to the PR directors. What would be your standards? Because management will ask, you are showing more problems of what institutions is having. So things can be done offline, but you are publicizing on social media. So how are you going to balance between the information that you are going to deliver to the students without even making it as a big problem or a reputational problem? This will be questions for both PR directors.
Can we have Jatinder first? Hi, thank you, James, for that answer. So, I know you said that without throwing the face of our uni and the problems are there for us to solve. And one of the manifesto I have is campus patch notes, which is to allow our student council to translate all those updates into fun and useful visual designs through our social media without touching the relatively negative and insensitive parts of throwing the face of Sunway University. And I also think it is important to talk about those issues, but more sensibly, if you get what I mean. And for the physical part of the campaign for one and saying, I agree with that as well, because you are physically putting out yourself to letting the student body know that we are students of this university as well, and we hear you, and we are here to take initiative physically, going up to you maybe through survey forms with QR codes, and then asking students directly what they think the issues of our campus are, so they can voice it directly without feeling intimidated, since we are actually taking the initiative to go up to them and solve that issue. I hope that answers your question.
Thanks for your question. Please mind clarifying your question. I couldn't hear you earlier.
Yes. Okay. So your leaders, your presidents and vice president mentioned about publicizing, disseminating the information from management, from council to students. That will mean you will also use the social media as one of the most powerful channels. The same thing coming from the expectation of the management is you publicizing on social media is something that you can actually have done it offline instead of actually promoting the problems on social media. So how are you guys going to balance that between you want to manage the communication between you and the student, and also how to also not make it into something that has a reputation?
Okay, understand. So I think that in navigating our new era of technology and how we implement what we wish to communicate, we truly after this need to have further conversations with management to create a middle ground on what we deem appropriate and what we deem as acceptable. So in doing so, I think that we should leverage the social media that we have while still prioritizing the physical aspect that we currently are procuring.
But with this, I think open communication and open conversation with the management needs to be had in order for us to reach a middle ground. Because at the end of the day, individually we are only able to do so much. So we really have to work together with the management to create a sort of middle ground. Thank you.
Thank you for your question, James. Anyone else?
Hello, thank you very much. I'm Josiah. I used to be part of SUSC. My question is directed to the president forgive my ignorance, but I'm not sure which department deals with other student committees. So it could also be directed to the directors part of that. Does SUSC have any plans on engaging with or collaborating with these different student committees to help them become more effective in engaging with the respective course members of whatever program they are part of?
Okay, so thank you for your question. I'm running for extracurricular director, so I believe that encapsulates your student committee concern. So for this, we've actually already been making strides trying to do that. So our recent Sunfest, we actually collaborated with SSB as well. So slowly but surely, with different events, we are trying to bridge that gap and allow other committees to also have a platform. So I said that just as an example, but it won't end there because in the future term, I hope to foster more collaborations. So that can be at whether we invite other clubs onto our events or other clubs have ideas of how we can contribute to their events. So sometimes we may not always be able to fully commit because we do have things on our side as well, but even when we're unable to, we would like to be able to give support or advice if needed. So overall, we just want it to be an open and bi-directional relationship so that they can come to us and we can go to them if we would like to collaborate or help create a bigger platform. Does that answer your question?
Partially. I'm not sure how exactly. Could you elaborate a bit more on how Sunfest assists the other student committees themselves and helps them to be more effective instead of, because Sunfest is an event hosted by SUSC and SEC, correct? So instead of just being marketing affiliates, how else would it assist them in becoming more effective?
So for going into the Sunfest collaboration, actually with the collaboration with SSV, we also work together for pre-event initiatives. And our discussion with SSV was that this will also serve as a sort of training point for their own directors for planning events. So their directors were involved to help plan events for us as well during the pre-event. So this is just an example of how it's not just marketing affiliates or anything like that, because when we have tangible collaborations, sure, your logo is everywhere and that would be the main draw, but also for efficacy that you talk about, it would also be just experience from working with each other, because I believe even just working with other student organizations will also help hone your abilities, because then you're able to learn from each other. Is that right?
Thank you very much.
Alright, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Hello. I have a question for the two presidents in regard to international students. So it is no secret that the university is pushing the fifth generation motto and all of that, and a part of that really includes internationalization. And we've seen a rise in diplomatic engagement, including heads of missions coming here, governments, ministers and ministries from all walks of life in all different countries coming here. So that includes the ISR role as well as SISA. So as the prospective presidents, what are your plans in furthering that? What are your plans in strengthening the diplomatic ties that not only the council has now with embassies and ambassadors, but Sunday University has?
Thank you for that question. Internationalization is
truly a very important aspect of the university and part of the fifth generation vision model, as you mentioned before this. And we're glad to have had such great partnership with SISA through the ISR department, which has been revamped this year to have a bigger and much more involvement in SUSC as well. So SUSC itself, we highly rely on SISA to help us spread whatever movements, updates, pushes that we have to international students as well. And through the ISR department this year, we had a lot of initiatives to get the Know Your Visa workshop, everything that was under your leadership. So moving on to the future terms, diplomatic ties and everything, SUSC would obviously be an important stakeholder in helping you reach out and maintaining those by having events together with SISA, maybe a collaborative event, a collaborative partnership towards fostering bilateral, multilateral ties with other countries as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Natsai, for your question. So I believe that the main thing here is to collaborate more with SISA and also the international office to provide a better experience for all this internalization stuff. And to me, what would I personally do is to have more initiatives from the ISR department as well that collaborates more with other clubs and societies, or also maybe with other universities, so that we can bring together all the international students, not only from Sunway but also from other universities. Thank you.
Am I allowed a follow-up question?
Yes, you may.
Okay, great. I just want to follow up on exactly the demarcation that you're planning on implementing with SISA and SUSC, as in the past that sort of line has been blurred. So what expectations do you have in terms of deliverables? So deliverables we're talking about, are you expecting that SUSC is going to have more of an engagement role, which means you're engaging with the student community, or more of a welfare role? Like what is the exact plan and demarcation for international students to both the residents?
Okay, so mainly would be, we can give support as well as welfare. So as for support, we could support a lot of the SISA events like ISWW, we could get SUSC to involve more as well. And in terms of welfare, there are many initiatives that are done by the SR department as well. So there could be a collaboration between ISR and SR department to ensure that international students are also involved in it. Thank you.
To answer that follow-up question, yes, because mainly right now it's just the line is kind of blurry, and from this term onwards we've been trying to draw a line where we don't want to minimize SISA's involvement in international students' lives, as well as don't want to overextend on what you guys are doing as well. So I think as SISA has been doing such a great job in engaging international students, bringing them in, fostering them, integrating them into the Malaysian culture and teaching them how all those, not just international students, but all the students and how we can live in harmony together as well. So from SUSC's part, from my vision is we can further help SISA, this is what Kashmini mentioned, through more collaborative events. Because SISA, obviously, as just any other student leadership body, also you guys need help in your events, in certain stuff that you need. We have systems in place which we can help you adopt into your own SISA as well with this new bodies that are coming in to help support you as well. So ultimately, SUSC's role will be to support the ISR and SISA's department in whatever goal that you guys are pursuing, because at the end it is all for the further benefit of all students. Thank you.
Thank you, Lasa. Thank you, presidents. Anyone else?
Hello, my name is Jason. I'm the past academic fair director for SUSC, and this question is directed to the academic affairs candidate. Just now in your speech, you mentioned that you would like that students are facing issues such as cramped assignments, as well as very ineffective timetable. I would like to ask, how would you like to address this issue towards the management as well as each faculty?
an issue that is quite well known for the past few years already. And I think order for us to actually point this out to the management is that we require specific data and feedback. So one very important thing that we have to show to our management is what the students actually say, because one very important factor is we listen to what our students say. So we, of course, through the academic affairs, we have multiple platforms and areas where students are allowed to voice out and also provide their feedback, and through that, those platforms, we are able to present these data and values to our management to allow them to actually take action and consider these effects that are negatively affecting our student community in some way.
Thank you for your answer. But however, I do believe that, as other candidates have mentioned, feedback form has already been pushed out, and I believe, as you've mentioned yourself, issues has already been addressed to management. However, the issue is still reoccurring, as you have mentioned, for years. So, how will you, as the upcoming academic affairs director, try to improve this issue in your term itself, rather than proposing plans that's already been done and redoing it all over again?
Right, so again, once again, as mentioned in my manifesto, one thing I really want to emphasize on this time is to improve on the current processes. So I want to mention again that I did mention change in my manifesto, but the change I want is good improvement in terms of what we have already built. So not to scrap what we have done, but to further implement and amplify what we have done before. So through this, I feel with proper discussions with the management, and also since we have a new building across Sunway Square Mall, this gives us more venues and locations that are actually applicable and will definitely help solve some issues regarding venue issues or even class clashing.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jason. Thank you, Jackson. Anyone else?
Hi, so this is a question for the presidential candidates. So, whatever we see right now in the social media is actually half the battle, right? Your job is to also handle internal issues with the management, right? So, my main question for you guys is, let's say, the management's decision is to move forward, what is going to be unpopular with the students? What is your sort of method in sort of making a compromise to ensure that your manifesto, your promises are being kept to the students while also keeping all stakeholders happy? Yeah.
Hi, thank you for that question. It's actually a very important one because it talks about conflict between management and students and how we help you handle it, right? So I think first and foremost, for us to understand how to come to a compromise is to see how are student concerns being addressed in that manner. So if they are sidelined, obviously the student council cannot stay silent, and we can't burn bridges with management as well. So it's something that requires multiple forms of open communication that we have to keep pushing up, keep following up, ask from their end what is the thing that is not appropriate with you. And the students, we see what truly is the problem that budges from the students, and then we come up with different alternatives and we come to a compromise at the end. Because I believe that if that is truly an issue, a very big issue that students are facing, no matter how long management keeps persisting it, if it goes unsolved, it still will be an issue. So it's better to always stop and come to a compromise. Thank you.
Yes, thank you for your question. So when it comes to management, of course, there might be a lot of conflicts, but for us as presidents, it is for us to make them understand that what the students' point of view are. So I believe that when we have numbers to back up our answers or our advice or our opinions, they would definitely listen to the numbers more, as we have proof behind what we're saying. And of course, it's important to compromise as well, because some of their concerns may be as valid as well. So definitely it's to come to a middle ground, and it's also to not give up easily on what we want to give the students, because if we are not going to fight for them, then who else is going to fight for the students? Thank you.
Thank you. Just a quick follow-up question. Thank you so much for bringing up the numbers right behind our concerns as students, right? But there is also prevailing problem with not only the past year, but a few years already, that only the vocal are the minority, right? A lot of students actually swallow their problems and actually do not go through the feedback forms, the social media, the engagement campaigns that we all do, right? So, and you also mentioned that management meetings are only twice a year, correct? By that time, it is also a sort of problem that maybe it is already too late to address a vocal minority, right? So what are the initiatives or maybe implementations that you plan to bring to actually address these issues head-on, right, before the management meetings are done?
I believe if the matters are really serious and requires immediate action, we can definitely call for an earlier management meeting, because I assume that management as well wants to get things done as soon as possible instead of dragging it. And also, when it comes to international students, we have the ISR department as well. So definitely bringing them along and making sure their voice is also heard will be the ultimate solution. Thank you.
Okay, hi. So yes, it is a numbers game, but it's not just a numbers game, right? So numbers can be easily manipulated. So I think what truly matters is we present numbers together with context, proof, and situational awareness. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, candidates.
Hi, sorry. I'd like to ask a question to both the presidents who are the vision tellers for the Sir My Hope. And just to preempt my question, I hope I'm not implying anything, especially I think this term did a great job in this regard. But I want to ask, how are we going to ensure that this is not just going to be another year for events and campaigns and things to get done, right? I think year by year the common challenge in SUSC is that what we run is oftentimes conventional. And in the university context where students are, well, at least university students are increasingly disengaging with extracurriculars and meaningful events, what's that spark going to be, right? What's going to make this, like I said, not just another year of SUSC doing things or running events?
I got that. Okay. Thank you for that question. That's actually a fair question, right? So a little bit of background is that 2 terms, and I've been in SUSC for the past 2 terms now, and I've learned, received, and seen a lot, right? So what I've also learned is that you cannot drive ideas to the top from a supporting role, okay? So for this term, I contributed where I could, did a lot of good work across board terms as well. But priorities and mandates are set by the core team as well. So like you mentioned, year after year, you see the same thing happening. But the thing with this is that across the entire term, besides trying to execute our manifesto and doing events, the main thing that the student council tries to do is to solve students' problems, right? And just because we solve a problem on January, and doesn't mean that problems stay solved till July or August. Because we have 3 intakes a year, 3 different batches of students, 3 different behaviors, 3 different perspectives. Year after year, we get different ideas on what students want, what students need, what they want to see. Maybe for the first half of the month, art gallery is very, like in terms of any booking, art gallery is very popular. Second half of the year, or maybe JC1 is more popular. So the trend keeps on changing. There is no, like I mentioned before, one size fits all. So what worked for one batch may easily become irrelevant for the next or the coming ones. So that's just the nature of university, this dynamic. So I think what matters is that we have a team that stays ahead of the cycle, we understand the trend, we know what's our priorities, and we make sure the students can see the progress that we're being made, so that they also understand that we're trying for their best as well, and we all come to a compromise together. Thank you.
Alright, thank you for your question. So for me, I would say that instead of just making regular events, it's more important for each of the departments and all of us to understand what the student actually need in each term. And also, instead of making a lot more events, I think it's more important to make quality events so that not only wouldn't the council be burnt out, but also students will be more engaged because they see a purpose in the event we do. And as long as we keep the engagement up and they see a purpose in our events, I'm pretty sure students will stay engaged as well. Thank you.
So if I might just follow up on that quickly, is there maybe like a rough roadmap on what this kind of engagement or I suppose catering to the student body is going to look like?
I would say that it's more on collaborating with other clubs and societies as well, because I believe when we collaborate with other clubs and societies, it would help gain more student engagement that are related to the club and society as well. Thank you.
So to answer your question, what is engagement, right? So engagement means different things to each student, to each and every single one of us. So there's truly no one form or one survey or one trick that you learn what engagement is. But I do believe that whatever SUSC has done, we have actively engaged with not the majority of the students, but the students that we need. Because if we have not, then we wouldn't have the list of issues that we have solved this term. So I believe engagement is there. It's just that we have to find, like I mentioned year after year, different students' perspectives. We just have to find what is the perspective that clicks next year so we can get ahead and start to do the work that matters.
Thank you, Jonathan. Thank you, candidates. We have 5 more minutes to wrap up the session, so we may take another 2 more questions. Anyone?
Alright, my name is Brian. I'm the president of the Surrey College Student Council. I'm directing my question to the presidential candidates. So, as you know, upper management refers to both the Surrey University Student Council and Surrey College Student Council as a whole. So, do you have any plans on how you want to collaborate and possibly include the Surrey College Student Council?
Hi Brian, just to clarify, when you say include, you mean inclusion in terms of?
In terms of possibly some events, large events such as Sunfest, or any of the shared platforms that we have, such as the feedback forms.
I do believe that we are collaborating on Sunfest, right? So you want to know, I don't understand the question, sorry, please repeat again.
Is there any further plans for you to collaborate?
Oh, okay. So I think the idea of collaboration together with, and not just college council, any form of council, is to see, is to gauge whether or not the benefit of the event, the reach of the event would actually require a collaboration of such scale. So if you take a look at Sunfest, it is a flagship event of both of our councils, because at the end of the day, both of the councils are doing the same thing, which is advocating. I'm advocating for university students, and you're doing it for college councils. So in the future, let's say if there are events or issues that requires the collaboration and the manpower of both councils come together, rest assured SUSC will be there to reach out to SSC as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian, for the question. So, as Dashin mentioned, I also believe that if that requires a side of SEC in the events, then definitely there will be a collaboration with SEC. But other than that, I believe that each of the council have very different perspective of what kind of events we are giving our students. So, other than Sunfest, Town Hall, if there requires any further collaboration with SEC, there will definitely be more events on that. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Can we have the mic to Mr. Farhan, please?
Hello, good evening everyone. My name is Farhan, Year 1, Semester 1 staff from Student Life. So it's been a very intense session. Okay, just last question from me. Okay, I heard all of you explaining on the, all the technical parts on how to solve students' problems on. But I have one particular question for the upcoming president. Okay, so what is the belief that you want to bring, and also what is believed that as a president, okay, that you can give the best conviction and also the best confidence in order for you and in order for us to choose you as a president, and also for your party to win the election. Thank you.
Okay, yeah. So, as you know, the student council, so year after year we have every term, and when the term ends, the executives, they go on to other club societies, they try to improve the systems, the life of the club societies there as well. So, not talking for any other people, but for me, even this term, my vision has been to nurture my executives so that regardless of where they go, they may display the best of SUSC. And that is the same vision that me and my party will take into next term as well. Because I will be fairly blunt here. All of my team, everyone here are going for internships next semester. So in order to prepare that, we do believe that in our period of short absence, our executives need to be able to lead independently well. And that is the vision that I'm hoping to bring, so that even after they finish the term, not just for the students, executives as well, when they go out to society, when they go out to other societies, they bring the same form of impact that they feel in SUSC to other CNSs, and it further just branches and becomes a network of the same impact. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Farhan, for the question. So, my main vision is to simply ensure that the council people itself are able to learn something from the council and ensure that the council is there for them, not only for them to learn, and also for them to ensure that if anything goes wrong, they always have someone to back them up. And as for the students, it's always to make sure that the council is approachable, because many people may look at the council as a very strict council. So I believe that making the council more approachable would be easier for the students. And as for the executives of the council, is to simply make sure that they're able to learn leadership from university life itself, which would prepare them for the future as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Yong. Thank you, Mr. Farhan, and thank you, candidates. I think we'll take one last question.
Alright, hi. My question is directed to the Academic Affairs candidate, Jason. So, I would like to add on a little bit on what Jason mentioned earlier on the ineffectiveness of the academic feedback form. So, in addition of the academic feedback form, in university, we do have the SDR, SPR system, and the main objective of that system being established is to assist the Academic Affairs Department in effectively gathering as well as resolving academic issues and feedback from the students. So my question is, how are you planning in the next term to more effectively utilize this potential people from university in effectively gathering as well as resolving academic issues?
So that is one thing. Communication is something that can be improved, especially through
through clear communication platforms, channels, WhatsApp and Teams, and I understand there's an Outlook also, and obviously for meetings as well. So I think a good step forward from the field would be to increase the communication channels, especially through WhatsApp, and utilize the WhatsApp channels than what we have this year. Yeah. If not mistaken, when I look back, the last message was around February, and then there was one right now. You can see the gap there. Right, thank you.
Alright, that is all for the Q&A session. Thank you everyone for your active participation. It's really nice to witness the enthusiasm and curiosity within the student body itself. As we approach the conclusion of this event, I would like to express my gratitude to all the candidates, moderators, and everyone involved in organizing this meaningful town hall. Your dedication and commitment are truly commendable. Before we conclude, I would like to take this opportunity to deliver the closing address. It has been an honor to serve as your MC today, and I hope this event has provided valuable insights into the candidates and their visions for our university. Before we end, we would like to address a formal announcement. Due to unforeseen technical issues, the balloting period has been postponed. The balloting, which was originally scheduled from 20th to 24th July 2026, will now take place from 27th July to 31st July 2026. We sincerely apologize for any inconvenience caused and greatly appreciate your patience and understanding. With that being said, please remember your vote matters. Take this opportunity to support the candidate who best represents your values and vision. Together, we can continue building a stronger and more connected student community. On behalf of the Sunway University Student Council, thank you for your presence today, and we wish you all the best in your decision-making process. Have a wonderful day.